My name is Kenny Hoyle. I'm a certified journeyman farrier through the American Farriers Association.
You know, the very essence of the mental game is this. The only reason an event matters is because we make it matter.
Welcome to the Mullins Farrier Podcast, where I will sit down and converse with the superstars, the overachievers, the masters of our craft. Each episode will be a deep dive into their personal philosophies, their habits, the tools they use, and the secrets to not only their success, but overcoming failure as well.
First, find somebody you can mimic, then find somebody you can stand, and then try to focus on one style until you master that style.
So if you say I can't do something, well, you're absolutely right. But if you say you're going to, you're absolutely right with that too.
People say that you shouldn't define yourself by your work. That is not true.
You know what Dave Farley does when he's, lucky enough to be at the World Equestrian Games? I'm watching other people work.
Yeah.
I don't think we do that enough.
This podcast is for all of you out there who share my passion for the job and the desire to always improve. These interviews will put you in touch with the inner workings of the role models we all want to emulate. So let's get to it.
You know, there's only so many hours in a day, and it's a matter of what you do with them.
Welcome, everyone. A little shopkeeping before we start. Well, spring is here, and already a few of my local farrier friends have been injured. Seems to be a thing every year. And it just reminds me to remind the folks that are listening from Great Britain that you have a foundation that is set up just for this purpose. A built-in insurance policy created by your fellow farriers. The Farriers Foundation steps in and offers financial aid for those times when you're too injured to work and helps cover your expenses while you heal. The spring is a busy time for farriers worldwide, and it is a great time, when you're flush with cash, to put a little aside to help out your fellow farriers in need. Back home, as usual, several farriers stepped up for the folks that were injured here and did the horses so that they could keep them on their books and keep a roof over their heads and food on the table. I must say it's an honor to be part of such a good group of folks in my community here. And now for today's guest. As you will hear in the conversation, I first met Kenny Hoyle at Heartland Horseshoeing School, and I didn't realize it at the time, but he was just beginning his certification journey. As you will hear, it's never too late to start that. Kenny is one of the kindest human beings you will ever come across, and as you will hear, he has put a lot back into the industry as a tester and as a board member on the AFA. It is always great to cross paths with this gentleman, as I did in Arkansas at convention. I was very fortunate to be able to pin him down this time and do an interview. I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. And where's home for you, Kenny?
I live in Xenia, Ohio, which is about 20 miles east of Dayton, Ohio, 1 hour north of Cincinnati, Ohio.
So we ran into each other, you were just saying, around 2016. And at that point, how long had you been a shoer?
I went to horseshoeing school in the fall of '95 at Bud Beeston's in Sperry, Oklahoma. And I shot horses part-time until 2002, and I've been full-time since 2002. So, been a long time.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And then when I met you, was that a certification course or was that the blacksmithing?
That was the blacksmith course, and that was in 2016. So the first 15 years of my career, I was shaping keg shoes hot and burning them on. I was hot shoeing. I was no good at building shoes. I went out to Chris and Cody's blacksmithing to get started on that path.
Okay.
That's where it started. I was 46 years old at the time, so it was a late start.
And then from there, you decided you were going
to
pursue your certifications.
Well, it took another year or so.
Yeah.
So I got my CF in the spring of 18 and my journeyman in the following summer. So, been 19.
Oh, wow. So you kept going with it.
Absolutely. For anybody listening, put your foot down and go.
Yeah.
There's no excuses.
Don't take any pauses.
No. Get after it.
Now, why do you think at that point in your career you decided to do that?
I was on the verge of burning out. So I either needed to get out of my comfort zone and get kicked in the rear end, or just get out and go pick up trash.
Right.
I got out of my comfort zone. And the first time I went to a cert was in Michigan, and I'd been shoeing horses for over 20 years, and I pull in there, and I am scared to death.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect, really. Doug Rousseau was my tester,
Okay.
and he immediately put me to ease on my horse, just like that. The whole process was the best thing I've ever done for my shoeing career, and it made me realize how forgiving the horse is with our shortcomings shoeing them.
Mm-hmm.
As everybody has said, the better you get at building shoes, the better you get at trimming feet, and vice versa. And it really re-energized my desire to be a better farrier. It's like the more I know, the less I know.
Yeah.
So it's very humbling.
Yeah, no
But,
kidding.
Yeah, it's great.
When you tell people that who haven't been on that particular journey, I don't think they quite grasp the whole idea that being able to hand make shoes will get you there, will change your day-to-day work that much. And I try to explain that to people, but
I don't know why it is. It's just something that a person has to go through.
yeah,
And it sucks at first. It really does.
it sure does.
It's very humbling. You're just throwing stuff out of your shop, and you come in the next morning and do it again.
Mm-hmm.
But if you seek out guys that are better than you and humble yourself and put in the work, sky's the limit.
No kidding.
Yes.
Now, you've actually since then become a tester yourself, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what was that process like?
To become a tester for the AFA, you have to do at least 3 provisionals, and that's where you go to the certs and you're basically hanging out with a qualified tester. And you'll do a score sheet also, but it really doesn't count. But they just want to see that you understand the system of how to test.
Right.
And after you do 3, I did 4, you'll go before the board, and you're either approved or you're not. And the reason I wanted to do that was because it forces me to stay on top of my game.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I can test somebody if I can't do it myself. And I like being around people.
Well, I could picture you being just like Doug was to you.
Yeah.
Right? Like just putting people at ease when they're there. You know exactly the look on their face that says, oh my gosh, what have I got myself into?
Take a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody here is nervous. Everybody at those certifications is nervous. The testers are wanting you to do good. They're nervous.
Yeah, right.
The examiner wants everybody to do good. Everybody there has been through it. So embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
As it's been said before, you learn through the journey, not from the letters afterwards. It's the journey. It's great. I was also fortunate enough to run for the board of directors and serve for Region 3 of the AFA. Through that, I'm also able to give back to the association, and so I'm very fortunate about that. It's me and David Halleck and Vern Powell, and they've showed me the ropes on how to be a good board of director and how to reach out to the chapter presidents and, just keep everybody informed on what the AFA is doing and the positives of it. And if there's anything going on that they need to contact us with, we're easy to get a hold of.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 1-800 number. No, I'm just kidding.
You cover my area as well, I'm pretty sure.
You're in Ontario?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
That's a huge time commitment, being on all those conference calls and all of those meetings. What made you decide that was how you were going to give back?
That's a good question, Brian.
Do you ask yourself that sometimes?
Well, at my age, I'm 52 now. One of the few regrets I have in all the stuff I've ever done is not getting in the competitive side of horseshoeing at an early age. And at 52, I can better serve doing this than I can beating my body up trying to get into the open at the contest. The AFA pretty much saved my career from burnout.
Right.
And the time that it takes, everybody has 24 hours a day. And we waste so much time just doing nonsense.
Yeah.
So just make the time. It's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there.
That makes sense. So I guess we should start back at the beginning. What got you into horseshoeing in the first place?
To start in horseshoeing, I left home when I was 18. I grew up in western North Carolina, in the mountains of North Carolina. I got a job out of high school riding horses, and I rode horses professionally through my 20s. I was going to be a horse trainer.
Okay.
I burn out the politics, the running the roads. It just wasn't meant to be. But I looked at myself and I said, the guys that you like to associate with in the horse world are the farriers, not the trainers.
Right.
I like those guys. They're blue collar, they're honest, they're hardworking. I had worked on my own horses as a kid. Through the grace of God, I was getting them done, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I went to Bud School for 4 weeks. Got married in 1996, moved to Texas with my wife, and Danny Anderson and Chad Chance were farriers in the barn I was riding colts in. I worked for a reining horse trainer named Pete Kyle, starting colts for him. Danny was coming in there and shoeing horses on Wednesdays. One thing led to another, and after a year there, I was back to shoeing horses. And I stayed there 3 years off and on. And they gave me a great start in just good basic shoeing.
Mm-hmm.
Put me on a lot of colts. Lonnie Miller he was in Collinsville. I think he's in Denton now. Lonnie Miller helped me out a lot on learning how to fit shoes hot with clips.
Oh, okay.
Which was a game changer because we moved to Ohio where it was English horses.
Right.
And I was doing mostly quarter horses in Texas. And I talked to Lonnie the other day, and I was thanking him for, he didn't even realize how much he had helped me.
Yeah.
So I moved to Ohio in 2001, and my wife's a school teacher.
Okay.
We have 2 kids, and from 2001 until I met you, I was pretty much just working. Just had my head down.
Plugging away. I would go to the summit. Okay.
Because it's an hour away.
Right, yeah.
And I would go to our local Farrier Supply open house, but that was it.
Really?
There was no outside horseshoeing inspiration. What opened my eyes was Facebook.
Huh.
I got on that Facebook, and I saw these guys putting out work, and I was like, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. That was one of the things that pushed me to get up and go seek knowledge.
Yeah, it kicks you in the pants, right?
It did.
When you see you've been working for that long and then you see what somebody else is doing. And
I didn't know anything. The only saving grace I had through all my years of shoeing horses was the good Lord blessed me with horsemanship skills.
Right.
I'm good with horses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bragging. It's just, that's the gift God gave me. And I can get around a horse. I couldn't shoe them very good, but I didn't even know it. You know, if you don't know, you don't know.
Right. Yeah.
And the horse, as I've already said, they tolerate our shortcomings. Despite us, they do good. I had a very successful business. Despite my shortcomings, I was good with horses and I'm good with people.
Right. Yeah.
I was the king of my backyard. But then I got out of it and discovered that you don't know nothing.
So the burnout stage that you hit, what do you think contributed to that? Was it just doing the same thing day in and day out, kind of the grind?
Sure. All of us horseshoers just get up and go to work every day.
Yeah.
And it turns into a job. And if you don't get out and surround yourself with other people that do the same thing, now that I'm out, and surrounded with other guys that are motivated and have desire, I don't know how I did it as long as I did without burning out. I really don't. For anybody listening, get out. Go to the hammer ends. I tell this to people that are wanting to know about certification. I'm like, you just go in there and you just pull down your pants and you say, this is what I got. So this is it.
Yeah.
And you just go with it.
Yep. For
Yep.
sure.
Don't be shy.
You started as a rider and then you start shoeing. What do you think has changed about your shoeing since you started the process of your CF and then your CJF? What are some major things you could point to?
Fit.
Yeah.
Fit.
That was a huge one for me.
Huge. Keeping my knife in my apron. Huge. Gathering feet from the top, not the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's huge. And I do a lot of thoroughbreds now that my clients, they get them off the racetrack and do lower level eventing. And don't rape those feet.
No.
Well, I was just going in there just whacking and tacking off. And yeah, it wasn't good. I have good feet now. And it's because I am learning to fit my trim.
Right.
And my trim is not hurting the horse. So I'm a lot more conservative than I used to be.
Yeah. I'm finding that even now, several years past doing the CJF, every time I interview somebody, those things keep coming up. Like what you said about leaving your knife in your pocket, and actually going to the international and listening for what the judges were looking for. It was the same thing. They said, don't go crazy. We don't want it to look pretty. We want it to be functional.
Right.
It's sometimes hard not to get in there, and aesthetically you want to make it look to a certain standard, but it's not necessarily good for the horse you're working on, especially thoroughbred feet.
Right. Exactly.
So you have another pastime that I see quite often on Facebook, and that's the dirt bikes.
That's my excuse for not being better in the fire also is I've been riding and racing dirt bikes since 2007. And we race the Enduro series around southern Ohio, western Pennsylvania, Michigan, Indiana. Instead of going out to the shop to forge, I'm out there working on a dirt bike.
Right.
Right. It has kept me young. And it's a great group of guys, too. I am competitive.
That's your outlet for
That's my outlet, is racing dirt bikes.
Right.
In a perfect world, I would be able to be competitive racing dirt bikes and forging, but I can't do both.
Yeah, there's only so many hours in the day, right?
Well, yeah, I'm raising kids. So both my kids are in college now, and they're great kids. Me and my wife are now empty nesters. But for years there, I'm going one way with one kid, and she's going another way with the other, and we're just meeting at night and peck on the cheek, and we're going to bed. And it's great. It was great. But, man, we were running hard there for years. And on top of that, I have my shoeing business going, and I'm racing dirt bikes. And I'm very active in my church.
Okay.
That takes up more time than people think, doing stuff around the church building. So I don't sit around much.
No, it doesn't sound like it.
No.
You probably don't binge on Netflix too often.
You know, I try to watch stuff on TV, but, yeah, no, it's not my deal.
Now, dirt biking, especially the enduro stuff, is not an easy feat on your body. First of all, it must get you fit to some degree, and do you find that helps with the shoeing? Or do you find you just get injured so much from one or the other that it kind of hinders the other?
So the enduros are not as dangerous as, say, motocross.
Okay.
Because you're not doing the big jumps and stuff. The worst I've ever done is have my thumb broken.
Okay.
And it was from a freak fall. But you're racing out in the woods, and you're usually at 15 to 20 miles an hour. So it's not high speed.
Okay.
But you might clip a tree and knock you into another tree or fall in the creek. There's guys who break their ankles and get concussions and stuff, but really it's not that dangerous. What it does do is you have to have a strong core, because to race dirt bikes good, you don't sit on them. You stand on the pegs and you grip with your knees. So your core is engaged all day. And same way shoeing horses. If you have a weak core, your back hurts more. So I'm always trying to keep my core strong, and racing dirt bikes helps. My back went out in 2012. I had a bulging disc.
Oh, dear.
And it was miserable, but I could still ride dirt bikes.
Really?
I could. And people's like, well, you're not hurt too bad. You're riding that dirt bike. But it didn't hurt to ride a dirt bike.
And you think that's just because your core was kind of taking up the brunt of it?
It was just one of them freak deals where L4, L5 got pinched. They were pinching the sciatic nerve, and it just took a few months of acupuncture, physical therapy, inversion table, certain exercises to get it unpinched. Shoeing hurt.
I bet.
Dirt bikes didn't. The hardest part of the day was in the truck driving.
Oh,
That's
really?
what
Just
hurts. Sitting on my butt. Your leg's numb and your rear end's numb. It really hurts. I can still shoe horses, though. I just couldn't get in the truck.
Just get a driver and you can hang out in the back or something. Yeah.
And I was fortunate. When I broke my thumb in 2012, there was a young man that just moved in the area, and he was fresh out of school. He was my hands for 2 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had to have surgery on my thumb. They pulled a ligament out of my arm and wrapped around the joint on my thumb joint.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, that was no small
It's fun.
break.
Yeah, it's fun.
Ugh.
Bending backwards. That, and it took me 6 weeks to go get it worked on because I just kept wrapping it in duct tape and going to work.
That doesn't sound like something a farrier would do at all.
And so I finally went to the doctor, and they're like, well, initially it was a bad break, but you have destroyed everything around it. They're like, what do you do? I said, I'm a horseshoer. She's like, what is your pain tolerance? I was like, I don't know. Probably pretty high.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, I'm a horseshoer.
I wanted to ask you, you're on so many committees. It is one thing that I've tried to avoid because when I am on committees, I find that dealing with the politics of everything is a struggle. Like, you're a people person, obviously, but how do you navigate those waters? Because you can't always get along with everybody that you're dealing with. And I'm sure sometimes you get those people who are on the board but are never going to do anything. And you get other people who have agendas. Like, how do you work with all of that?
That's a great question. And I struggle with that. I really do. I pray for patience with my fellow man.
Right.
I do. That's what gets me. I'm like, Lord, give me the wisdom to make this situation better, even though I don't like what these people are not doing and what they should be doing. How can I make it better?
Right.
And lift them up instead of making it worse by maybe digging into them because they're not doing their job. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that does. Yeah.
So, but it's hard.
I bet.
It's hard. I'm a deacon in our church, and I'm the deacon of buildings and grounds, and it drives me nuts when somebody will come to me and say, hey, there's a light out. Well, change it. You know?
Yeah.
You don't need to tell me. Just go change it.
Yeah, this is yeah.
So it's the same way with the horseshoeing deal. But it's all good. We have the AFA, the officers, the executive committee, the board of directors. It's really good right now. And I'm very blessed to be a part of it. So it's good.
No, everybody I've spoken to has said the exact same thing that's on the boards and stuff that you are.
It's a very positive, like-minded group of individuals that are wanting to work and wanting to make things better for the American Farrier Association and wanting to get all these young people involved in it to see the benefits of it.
Yeah.
So, and it'll help them.
For sure.
Yes, sir.
For anybody that's just starting out, can you give advice as somebody who sort of found all of this later in life? Have you got advice for somebody who's just starting their career?
Oh, yeah. Just get with your local chapters. Seek out your local chapters. They'll have hammer-ins. Our chapter, which is called SWOFA, Southwestern Ohio Farrier Association, we're the SWOFA Mafia. We have hammer-ins monthly.
Okay.
Usually on Friday nights. And there's no pressure. You just get together and work on whatever you want to work on. And as a young person coming out of school, for a lot of them, it's intimidating. But everybody's been there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can just come into it and say, here's what I got, guys, help me.
Right.
If you come in with that attitude, the possibilities now in this trade for people to learn, it blows my mind. And there's kids that are 18 and 19 years old. Their talent
Yeah, I know.
is amazing.
Yep. A bit of jealousy when I see that and what's available to them.
Like the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, get with your local chapters.
That's great.
Get with those guys. Go to a contest. I went to my first contest when I was 46, 47, and I've been shoeing horses for 20 years, making a good living.
Yeah.
And I got in a novice and got beat by a kid from Kentucky Horseshoeing School making pairs on keg shoes.
Right.
So I like whipped cream on my humble pie, and I eat a bunch of it. But don't be scared to fail, because you're not failing in the long run.
No,
No,
that's
just
true.
Get in there and do it. If you humble yourself and put in the work, the guys will come out of the woodwork to help you. This is the greatest trade there is for helping each other.
Yeah.
It really is.
No, you're right. Yeah. I've heard of other people in other trades, and they'll say, like, really? You would do that for somebody else? We would just try and steal their business and call it a day.
Our little group around us, if I'm in a barn and a buddy of mine's got a shoe off and they got it, I tack it on for him.
Yeah.
He does it for me.
Right.
I'm out here this week. I had a shoe come off. I called Chris Hill Slammer because he didn't get to come, and he went out there and took care of it for me.
Yeah.
And if one of us happens to get hurt, we go in there on the weekends or whatever, take care of their horses for them. That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
That's what we're supposed to do.
What's supposed to happen, yeah.
And we're all on about the same level. When I got my journeyman in 2019, there was 8 of us that got our journeyman from my area.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 4 of us got it the same day.
That's awesome.
Well, once I started it, they're like, well, if Kenny Hoyle can pass that, I know I can. And, man, we got the ball rolling. So it was like a race. Who's going to be the last guy?
Right.
It ain't going to be me. And it was awesome.
That is good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was nerve-wracking.
I bet.
But it forced you to come home and get out of your truck and go make a pair of plain shoes to fit some keg shoe and to make a bar shoe to fit some pattern to practice.
Yeah.
Because you didn't want to be the last guy to get your journeyman.
No.
We were all going to get it. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We were going to get it. And it was awesome. 2019 was a good year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds like the horse population in your area all of a sudden got a boost.
Really did. I mean, just think about it. It went from 3 journeymen, and one of them was retired, to, I don't know, there's like 10 or 12 of us now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And we've really, the skill level in the Miami Valley of Ohio, in our little area, the horses are benefiting from our pushing ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's happy. The horses are happy. The trainers are happier. The owners are happier. We're also pushing the envelope on charging, too.
Right. No, that's good, too. I was talking with somebody earlier today just about the situation in England, and their costs of everything are going up exponentially, but their shoeing rates are the same as they were in the 90s. So
I feel terrible for them. And their skill level.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very fortunate in the area that I live in. We're very fortunate to be able to make a good living shoeing horses. I drive 15,000 miles a year shoeing horses. I don't go anywhere. My father's account's 35 miles away.
Wow.
So I don't do any driving. Everything's close. I work Monday through Thursday from 8 to 3. Trying to take Fridays off. Take every 6th week off.
Do you?
Yes, try to. And it works out most of the time. In the summer, some of those horses got to go on shorter cycles.
Right.
But, yeah, there's a balance.
Yeah.
There's a balance.
I guess it's easier probably to keep that balance in the winter as opposed to the summer.
I do pull a lot of shoes in the winter.
Do you?
I do. My biggest account is a lesson barn, and they don't do lessons in the winter.
Oh, really?
No. And that's why their horses last forever.
Yeah.
But I'll be pulling shoes this coming cycle coming up on all the horses, and I'll start putting them back on in March. So there's some days in winter I'm done by 1,
Okay.
shop time. And now that I can build shoes and actually nail them on, it's a lot more fun to forge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've been through it.
Yeah.
It's no fun to build something and you still can't nail it on anything. It's no good.
Yeah. No, that scrap pile, it gets frustrating.
I take measurements of my horses at the end of the year. I've got measurements of all my feet. And in the winter, I'll build shoes for my horses.
Okay.
Yep. That works good to about July.
And that, you've run out of out of handmade shoes to put on.
There's some really nice keg shoes out there.
Yeah.
And we're back to that.
Now, what type of horses are you typically working on now?
There's a lot of boarding barns in my area.
Okay.
So I work in a lot of boarding barns, a lot of not high-level show horses, more the lower level, which I like. I have a lot of mom and pop stops, 2 horses and a donkey.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yeah, I can picture you doing well in
an
environment like that.
Yeah. I like going out and talking to the old people that's got the old horse and the donkey and just listening to their stories.
Yeah.
Some days it's not as business-wise as smart, but
Right.
it's all good.
Yeah.
It all pans out. So, yeah, mostly probably the biggest majority of my clients do lower-level eventing,
Okay.
maybe a little lower-level dressage. Not really any hunters around me. I don't know why, but
Oh, really? Okay.
they are down in Cincinnati, but I don't go down around Cincinnati.
Okay. And would most of them be off the track thoroughbreds that you're
A lot of
dealing with?
thoroughbreds, warm blood crosses, such as that. A lot of them. I do some trail horses. Some of them's gated, but I just flat shoe them. I don't do any of that padded stuff. Don't do very many quarter horses anymore.
Oh, really?
It's hard to get under those little fellers.
Yeah, it is.
I don't want to work for the quarter horse trainers in my area. So, no.
So you don't?
No, I do not. I may go behind that big fancy show barn and trim a guy's trail horse.
Right. Yeah.
Be happier than the guy that's in that show barn.
Right.
Right. I've been there. When I worked for Chad and for Danny in Texas, those guys worked. I mean, they were like machines. It was great. I didn't want to do it like that.
Yeah.
I don't like going to one stop all day long.
No.
No.
You want the variety and
Yep. I like being here for 2 or 3 hours, here for 2 or 3 hours, here for 2 hours, and go home. The good thing about our trade is you can set your business up every how you want to.
That's true. And there's so many variations you could.
And what
choose
works for
from.
me may not work for the next guy, and that's okay.
Yeah.
There is no, this is the way you do it. If it works for you, you're happy, your horses are happy, your clients are happy. I like to start at 8. You can start at 10:30 and work to 6:30.
Yeah.
I'd rather work from 8 to 2. You know, whatever.
Pick your poison.
Yeah. It worked out great for me when my kids were in sports. I was home at 3. I was able to take my kids, coach my kids. It was great.
Right. Now, do you think either of your kids going to head to shoeing?
That'd be a big no. I took both of them when they were kids, but no, they never did really have any interest in it. No, they'd be out in stock tanks trying to drown each other. And my daughter is a good rider. She likes to ride. My son, he doesn't have that love for it, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, but no, it's just me.
Now, and your background when you were a kid, and you said you grew up in a quite rural area, were horses part of your life right from the beginning, or?
Yeah. So I grew up in a little town called Silva in the mountains of North Carolina, and we were just trail riders.
Okay.
And most of us rode grade racking horses.
Oh, okay.
You know, and that's what we trail rode. But I never went to a horse show. I didn't know what a horse show was.
Right.
Or anything like that. We just went trail riding and went on wagon trains, and it was a great childhood, but we just stayed in the mountains. When I was 18, I got a job working for a quarter horse trainer in South Carolina, and it was that's a whole nother story. And I didn't know anything about training horses as far as teaching them, but like I said earlier, I was gifted with a feel and the seat and good hands and balance, and I just get along with horses. And this guy saw that. And so I stayed with him for 3 years. and through him, other doors were open. It's amazing. I just look back on it now, and I was like, wow, God, I had no idea how this is going to end out. But good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Worked it the way it did.
Yes, sir.
This portion of the podcast is called the Stratum Tectorium. These are the short answer, surface stuff questions, but it's okay if the guest wants to go deeper. Enjoy. What's your favorite book?
The Bible.
I thought you might say that.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite brand of nails?
Favorite brand of nails? Right now, I'm digging the Mustad E4 Slims.
Okay. Do you switch it up occasionally?
Yeah. I use a lot of 5 combos
Okay.
also. That's the 2 that I use the most.
Yeah. And what do you use for those? Like which brand?
Keg shoes? I use mostly 3/8 by 3/4, either the Con Keggers or the standard Max Kirks
Okay.
keg shoes. And I have used some Workmans in the past that are nice shoes. I'm trying to get out of pre-clip shoes because
Okay.
it just forces me to stay tuned up better.
Yeah.
And I like the Cons and I like the standard Max Kirks both for that.
Okay. What shoe sizes do you generally have to stock the most of?
Alts 1s and 2s.
Favorite make of rasp?
I have no idea. So I used Save Edge forever because they were built in the town I live in,
Oh, really? Okay.
Xenia, Ohio. And they've pretty much quit building rasp for horses.
I heard that. I heard
Yes.
they were shutting down.
So right now I'm using the Bellotta Top Level and the Heller Green Tang. Both of them are pretty consistent, but I'll get a bad rasp in every box.
Yep.
So, but that's the 2 that I bought the most of lately.
What is your dream Farrier rig?
Right now, my dream Farrier rig is a 2500 Ford Transit that is outfitted to shoe horses, and I can put my dirt bikes in the middle.
Do you have this Farrier rig?
I have a dream. No, I don't have it. It's a dream. Right now, I'm working out of a 19 Chevy half-ton with a Stonewall drop-in.
Okay.
And it works fine. But if it was a dream rig, it would be that Ford Transit 2500, and I could put my dirt bike in the middle because I ride dirt bikes every Wednesday night. And a lot of times I have to go back home and switch trucks. And I'm like, man, if I just had my dirt bike with me, I could just stop on the way home.
Right.
So, and working in a van in Ohio, there would be some advantages to it in the winter
Yeah.
because the weather's pretty crappy in the winter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've been thinking about going the van route myself, actually.
There's a lot of guys in Ohio that work out of vans.
Oh, really?
Up around Cleveland, where the winters are really bad.
Yeah.
There's 4 or 5 guys that
Oh,
that's
okay.
what they work out of.
Yeah. I mean, you saw in Europe, it's everywhere.
Right. But they work out of the back of them. They don't go up in them.
No, they don't.
You know, the guys I'm talking about walk up in them and do their forging in them.
Yeah, it does help to get out of the elements.
Yes.
Favorite rounding hammer?
Right now I have a Chris Madrid that he made for me 5 years ago, and at the time I didn't realize how good of a hammer it was, but it is a sweet, sweet hammer. So that would be my favorite. I've never weighed it, and he don't. It's probably 2 pounds, but between 2 and 2 1/4.
Okay.
It's a nice one.
Favorite type of bar stock to work with?
So standard answer would be 3/8 by 3/4, but as I'm learning to use sections, 3/8 by 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in that realm myself. So what's your favorite pastime after work? We might have already discussed this.
Yeah, that would be either dirt bikes or hanging out with my wife. She loves to hike. She has a goal to go to all the national parks. So
Oh, wow.
that's what we do together is we go to national parks.
And this is how you stay so fit.
Yep.
Ideal number of horses to shoe all around in one day.
4.
Favorite anvil?
Currently, I have the Scott 100, the Anvil brand 120 Legend. I had one of those for years. It was a great anvil, but these Scotts are nice. I've been jonesying since Austin Eden's got on there with his new shop anvil.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm wanting one of them pretty bad. But that'll probably be my next purchase,
Okay.
anvil-wise, is his shop anvil.
I have one of his hammers that I just got about a year ago, and
Have you saw his shop anvil?
no, I haven't.
Yeah, there's some cool features on it.
I bet.
Yeah, they'll have them well shod.
Yeah? I'll have a look. Do you have a Farrier Terrier?
I do have a Farrier Terrier, and he's in a box in my back seat. Yes, sir. He was my shoeing dog for 14 years, and then the last year he was too old, and he had dementia, and his hips gave out, so he stayed home. And then when I finally put him down, I had him cremated, and he's still in my truck. But I will not have another. The liabilities is just, I just can't do it. Now, we have 3 Jack Russells at home.
Okay.
So, yeah, I had the best truck dog in the world, and if I ever try to get another one, it wouldn't be fair.
Right.
Because I already have this mindset. I had the best dog.
Yeah, right. That makes sense.
Yep.
What's your favorite inspirational quote?
Oh, that would be from the Bible, and it's in the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ, which gives me strength. Philippians 4:13.
All right.
Everything's possible through Christ. There's no excuses.
If you're stumped on a case or need backup, who do you call?
Locally, I call my good friend Dave Purvis. He's worked a lot with lame horses.
Okay.
And I call him. If it's somebody, Dusty Franklin, he and I are good friends. Travis Burns, he answers questions for me too.
Good folks to have in your back pocket. Do you have a favorite shoe or package for when you have a lameness that you're not sure of?
Leather pad.
Yep.
Yep.
You and I both.
I try to keep it pretty simple, so I love leather on feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, me too. What do you use as your planner?
It's just one of those Farrier form books
Okay.
from the 90s. Yeah, and I just ordered my 2023 deal to put in it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I've tried putting stuff on these phones, but yeah, I don't trust them.
I struggle with it.
I have a system and it works.
Yeah,
So-
why change it?
Right.
Yeah. Favorite method of soothing aches and pains?
Stall rest.
Yeah?
Just rest. I don't do any stretches. I tried to do stuff one time and it blew my knees out. And yeah, maybe a hot tub would work, but I don't have one. As I get older, I am getting better about just rest.
That's great advice.
Not easy to do.
Favorite drink? It's not this one, clearly.
As far as alcohol, I'm not a big drinker. I will drink like a Jack and Coke maybe, but sweet tea.
Yeah.
Love it. I'm from the South, man. I drink sweet tea. But as I get older, it gives me heartburn.
Oh, no.
Yep.
We had at lunch today sweet tea, and it's like Canadians cannot get sweet tea right.
No.
We get that weird bottled stuff that
No, it's
tastes
no good.
terrible. But when we come down here, it's always something to look forward to.
Where I'm from, sweet tea looks like black coffee. I mean, it's black and it's thick and it's sweet. So,
Favorite genre of music?
well, I'm from the mountains. It's got to be bluegrass gospel.
Oh, cool.
But I love, my iTunes is so diverse. I love all types of music. But the one that really just soothes my soul is good old bluegrass gospel music.
Okay.
Love it.
What would you have been if not a farrier?
If I would have stayed in the mountains and hadn't got into the horse deal, I would be working at the paper mill with my buddies.
Okay.
I mean, that's just what we did. You worked at the sawmill, you worked at the paper mill, you worked for the county, and that would have been fine.
Yeah.
If the shoeing gig didn't work out right now, I don't know. This is going to work.
Yeah.
I don't have a backup plan.
Yeah.
So it's going to be this.
Don't think you have anything to worry about.
As long as I stay healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never take your health for granted, though.
No, that's for sure.
Mm-mm. I talked to a guy today that I hadn't saw in years competing. Well, come to find out is he's been crippled.
Oh, really?
He had to have back surgery. And he still doesn't have any feeling in his right foot. And he's 8 years younger than me. So never take this for granted.
No.
And he wasn't doing anything wrong. It's just he got out of the truck and he said when his feet hit the ground, his leg went numb.
And that was it.
If a guy's healthy, he's blessed.
Yeah. And then the last question, if you were stuck in a shop with somebody for a month under quarantine, who would you want it to be?
Sam Gooding.
Okay. Now, why Sam?
Because Sam's good at building shoes, but he's also a tool builder. I would like to learn more about that.
Yeah.
And he's just a good Christian man.
Cool.
Sam Gooding.
All right. Well, there you go. Thank you very much, Kenny.
Thank
This
you for
has been
having
awesome.
me. Yeah. Appreciate it.